Were you a fan of game shows before you delved into this project?
I am a fan of game shows. Growing up, Jeopardy, Supermarket Sweep, Price is Right, there were like a half dozen I would watch that I loved. But I think what's alluring about them, not just because you can win money and it's trivia, it's a game of chance, but it's like everybody's on an even playing field. Like anybody could win. It's not about like social hierarchy or where you're from or whatever. But in this case, the story does tell this crazy tale of a guy who had his own advantage, which was figuring out the pattern of the game, the algorithm, as it were, and of course, exploiting that to win a crazy amount of money on television that has rarely been rivaled since.
I was fascinated by that actually because, and I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I was in Vegas doing a show, and in between shows on my 2 show days, I would go over to the casino next to ours and I would play slot machines. And I would play this Wheel of Fortune slot machine. And I started to notice that there was a pattern in how I was winning. And so I would follow that pattern and I would win every time I played. And I mean big bucks, like not some like, you know, it was nothing to sneeze at. When
No,
I
we're
tell
talking
you,
purse money. Yeah,
listen,
purse money.
listen, when I tell you the casino figured me out, and one day I went over there and I would go to the same bank every time. I went over there one day and Paul, they had removed the whole entire bank of slot machines for Wheel of Fortune. The whole bank was gone. It was a whole circle of them and the whole thing was gone. I'm like, oh no. And I told somebody at a nail salon that story. They said they had cameras on you. They were watching you.
Yeah, they said no more Pat Sajak. You're done, lady. You're done. They shut you down. I
They
I
shut
was
me
playing
down.
blackjack. I was playing blackjack on a Delta flight the other day. They have games on the screen or whatever. And it was funny. I realized I was like, every time I get Delta 12 and it says hit or stand, anytime I hit it, it goes 22. And I bust. And I'm like, so I stopped hitting on 12 and then the other guy would bust. I was like, oh,
See?
that's interesting.
There's a
Huh.
pattern, but Michael Larson figured it out and he got busted. And they were trying to say he was cheating, but it's not really cheating if you just figured it out. You just beat them at their own game, really. Had you heard about Michael Larson prior to playing playing him in this project? I'm sorry, my mouth was trained.
No, you're fine. I hadn't heard of Michael prior to the project, but it made me research him, and I found out a lot of people did know about this story because they either lived through it and watched it live, or they watched the Game Show Network documentary of the same, subject. And people are really. I've been getting stopped on the street. People are really excited to see this movie. They really are fascinated in this character, and they want to know what really happens. So I'm excited to have people see it.
Yeah, there's always a fascination with game shows and scandals that follow them. I remember there was a film a little while ago called Quiz Show with Ray
Oh,
Fiennes.
I love that movie.
Right.
Yeah,
And so there was that. And then I think there might have been a scandal with Jeopardy at one point. But people are fascinated by that because you think that it's all up and up until you find out that it's not. And you find out that the producers manipulate who the contestants are. They are very specific about who they choose. Like for The Price is Right, they choose people that are really crazy and loud and gregarious to come, when they say come on down to The Price is Right, they pick people that are not going to be like, oh no, I can't. They pick people that are just out of their minds.
yeah, yeah. I don't think timidity goes very far on The Price is Right. You kind of need somebody who's bursting at the seams, who's gonna hug and smooch Bob Barker until he's uncomfortable.
That part right there.
Yeah.
Michael seemed to he was like a very lovable character, even though you knew he was a little off. He probably had a little ADHD going on, and he was very lovable, but he seemed to crave love and attention by any means necessary. And in this case, on national television, right? Um, how far do you think you would go and to get that kind of attention, or would you let your boundaries kind of stop you in your tracks?
And I think there was a time in my life where I was starved for attention, and I wanted people to love me because I didn't love myself.
Hmm.
And now, as I got sober and went to therapy and got on sertraline and all these things you can do in the name of, maturation. I've discovered I do like and love myself, and I don't sort of lash out and do things for the favor of others. I have a better sense of self-preservation and respect, but there was a time when, yeah, sort of the Chris Farley, Robin Williams thing where you're always performing for people. I had that for years and had to kind of break it off.
Cool. Well, congratulations on that journey. I know that wasn't
Thank you.
an easy one. So congratulations that you're on the other side of it. Last but not least, how would you press your luck moving forward?
I think I'm doing it right now by wrestling. I took up professional wrestling as one of my many people call it a side quest or a side hustle. I don't really do side quests. Everything I do is a full on real quest. So I started wrestling and doing what I call the reverse Dwayne Johnson, where it's not a wrestler turned actor, it's an actor turned wrestler. And I've ingratiated myself in that world, and I press my luck every time I get in the ring because the littlest, move, if I do it one wrong way or another and we don't catch ourselves, you could injure yourself. So, or injure the other person. So that is how I'm pressing my luck as of late. And my children are pressing my luck as they are not going to bed on time. they are they are pushing our buttons just like on the show, and yeah, I'm feeling the whammies. We gotta get a schedule going. Yeah.
I love that. Paul Walter Hauser, you never cease to amaze me. You are actually one of my favorite actors because you're like a cinematic chameleon. I'm always surprised by every project that you do, and I will always champion you. So I think you're absolutely wonderful, but you know this.
That's incredibly sweet of you. Thank you. And same to you. You bring great energy to every interview we do, and an enthusiasm that is, I'm rooting you on as you are me. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
So, had you heard about Michael Larson before you came on to this project? Because I have to say, I've kept up with a lot of those game show scandals. I remember the one that happened with Quiz Show. I remember there was one with another game show a little while ago, but I hadn't heard about this one with Press Your Luck.
Yeah, I actually found this in a very interesting way. I usually go when I'm writing. I go to Goodwills and thrift shops and browse for like film negatives and photos because I
Uh-huh.
think that these are really good inspiration for characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as I was like browsing through stuff, I found VHS tapes, and I played one of them, and it was a taping of Pressure Luck. I was like, oh, I've never heard of this game show. It looks really fun. And then when I started to research, I found about the Michael Larson scandal, and that's when I yeah, I thought I then I looked for the movie. I was like, oh, this must be a really good movie. And then I realized there was no movie, so we decided to make it.
I also wanted to know how you came upon choosing Paul Walter Hauser. He was perfect. I think he's just such a cinematic chameleon when it comes to inhabiting roles on screen. And I'm wondering for you as his director, what was it about him in particular that made you feel like he could completely and fully inhabit Michael while bringing authenticity to that role, which is actually a real person?
And at the time, we had seen him perform in Richard Jewell, the Clint Eastwood movie, and we were like, okay, this guy's really good. And then when we were about to start sending offers, Blackbird came out, and then we saw Blackbird, and we were like, okay, he's amazing. He definitely has the chops, and that's why we thought that he had both the best of both worlds, and that's why we went with him.
I enjoyed this conversation with you, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for helping us spread the word for it.
Oh, listen, anything with Paul in it, I'm all about it, and I'm down to
Thank you.
spread the word. It is no
That's great.
problem at all.
That's great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.